What up, folks? For the playback, move forward or chill. As the algorithm picks up and we get started. Yeah, buddy. We got some good topics for the night. Got a good topic for the night. Some of it's gonna be empowering. Some of the topic is gonna be empowering. Some of the topic is gonna be telling. Very, very telling. Hopefully I hit all my points and and I get caught up. How you doing, Alpha Queen? How you doing, people coming in? What's going on? Everybody coming in. We are just getting started. I always like to start off with a little photograph of something that'll catch your attention. Like, what the hell is this about to be about? What is this about to be about? Yeah, we're gonna find out. We are gonna find out. Still kind of lightweight on the topic of the boarding schools or Indian schools or freedmen schools. Actually, a combination of both. Can you go live on YouTube? Yeah, I need to start being lazy. I got a whole professional setup where I can actually simulcast. I can be live on YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok all at the same time. I really need to be doing that. But see, like, y'all, I know y'all see me, like, when my screen goes black, I be sitting back here with no shirt on. That's why and smoking. That's why I'm so lazy. I just like, man, I can smoke. I ain't got to be on camera. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got to get all extra. You said you busy. I do upload these to YouTube. So I just uploaded a lot of the last 4 or 5 or 6 of them today to my YouTube. Some I'm gonna premiere over the next couple of days, and some came out today. So yeah, if you haven't missed this or whatever, I always catch it on the whole YouTube. I just put the whole thing. Eventually, I'm gonna start chopping it up in clips too, but I'm gonna always post the whole thing for those looking for it. Cause I do know they be long. Like, I didn't know I would be doing live streams for 2 to 3, 4 hours, to be honest, and giving out game the whole time, to be honest. And I'm amazed that y'all stick around the whole time. Like, I feel like we really like building in this particular live stream, man. Just like others, like there's other people, you can build with on live streams too, But I just feel like, wow, like, we could really be up in here getting super gamed up on some history shit, while at the same time I clown some of these trolls that come in this here. Good evening, Adventures of a Goddess. How you doing this evening? The information is on point. Appreciate that, Alpha Queen. How you doing this evening? But yeah, we about to get started. We are about to get started. Y'all. I hope y'all had a good Thanksgiving. I had an amazing talk with my mom, about this history, and gaming her up on all the new things I found about the family, and you start learning stuff about your mom. Like, I'm telling her certain things, and she starts asking certain questions, and she was like, she's questioning certain things already. I'm like, huh. I said, Mom, I'll probably get my inquisitive mind from you. You question the system a little bit too. You ain't gonna go too far, but you gonna question. And I definitely learned some things. So, all right, we're about to get started. And in fact, I just got off the phone with my mom about this, because what are we looking at? We are looking at. He said, I'm great. History is my favorite subject. We're here because we love seeing the receipts. That's what's up. Hex, yeah, I appreciate y'all being here. And I got plenty of receipts for you. Plenty of receipts I promise you never seen. I promise y'all ain't never seen some of these receipts. Nah, that's what I love about it too, boy. Showing y'all something y'all ain't never seen. That's what I really love. Alright, so this says this is the home of the late Caroline Prince. Alright. Now this shocked me personally. Why did this shock me personally? Well, in my line of princes, and Caroline Prince, I actually didn't have nobody under him until like last week or something, 2 weeks ago. This person popped up, but the paperwork didn't match. So I just kind of got him there as a placeholder, but eventually I was going to try to figure this out. But I did know about Henry. Now, this is how I put it all together. This story that I found, and I'm going to show you where I found it. Ooh, did I save that? I should be able to pull it up pretty easy. Yeah, I could pull it up pretty easy. I found this story talking about Choctaw Freedmen. Whole story talking about Choctaw Freedmen. Now, my grandpa, my pawpaw, who I'm named after, at least my first name, Samuel, he was born in Hugo, Oklahoma. Hugo, Oklahoma, okay? And when you scroll out of Hugo, Oklahoma, you will notice it is in Choctaw Nation, okay? Now, long ago, I didn't know that. And on top of that, what's cool is right next to it is Chickasaw Nation. That's where my granny's from. And in fact, the whole area, as we've talked about, the Love County is named after the Love family. This is the Choctaw area we're talking about. And this is important because we're going to start talking about Indian schools who were later labeled as freedmen schools. But when I look at it, I just see black Indian schools or Indian schools, so-called black, right? Well, my granny came from here. My papa came from here. My grandma, and so they end up together, you know what I'm saying, which is kind of a dope story. And then they end up traveling up on up north at some point. They end up together in Boley, Oklahoma, which is a different town from Hugo. But either way. So that's kind of a little story there. Now, but you get to see the Choctaw and the Chickasaw Nation. There's your Seminole Nation, okay? Creek, whatever, all right? These people were listed there. Now, at first, I was going through different Indian schools, and I came across this right here. In the Oklahoma Historical Society, okay? And I came across this right here. And this was before I came into that photograph of my family's house. So I'm going through Indian boarding schools, and we're going to actually get into that, but I just want to tell you about this pawpaw story. And I saw Basil LaFleur. And here he's listed as, he was shown to be principal chief at the time. So it was Principal Chief Basil LaFleur at a Choctaw Indian boarding school. Not boarding. I got to get the word boarding out of my head because not all of them got the word boarding in it. Most of them don't. But Indian school. Basil LaFleur. Now, why was that crazy to me? Well, I'll just show you really quick. I'd rather show you than tell you. Right there. Basil LaFleur. Slave up. All right. So one of my people with the last name Prince is listed as being a Choctaw freedman, and he was a slave of Basil LaFleur. Now, most people would take that and just say, well, I guess that is what it is, right? I guess he was just a slave. You know, my person was an African, right? But you always got to look further into these stories. Now, LaFleur comes from the Greenwood LaFleur name. Greenwood LaFleur is like one of the main the guys that signed one of the treaties for Dancer Rabbit Treaty. Before the whole 1830 Trail of Tears. So that was Greenwood LaFleur. He was like one of the main instigators in it. Everything else, everybody talk about Greenwood LaFleur. Well, Basil LaFleur would be from that clan, that family, right? In a sense. Now, Greenwood LaFleur is supposed to be a white and a Indian mix. Now, some would take that to be white and Siberian, but as we would know, he's white and it would be white and black of what we know today, right? So his children would likely be like some high-skinned mulattoes, right? And Basil LaFleur, I think he's either one of his children or one of his brothers. I have to actually double check. But either way, here he is. And I couldn't forget that. I was never going to forget that. And also it says this Kiamati. I was just thinking, I just saw that in something. But anyways, so as we go back, we look at here, and it says this is the log cabin of Basil LaFleur. So I knew I was reading through this. It talks about the Choctaw Nation School. We'll get to these things, but I'm like, man, Choctaw Nation. My papa was a Choctaw Nation freedman. I'm in the freedman schools for Choctaws. This, then the third, and then eventually I end up on this house, this amazing old school house. That apparently likely was my family's. I sent it to my mom. She was floored. Was not looking for it. But every day I be finding stuff. I think I've showed y'all many times. Like I found my You're Not Choctaw by Blood, Get Over It. Boy, man. Y'all always find your way up in here. Y'all ain't got no life. All right, but yeah, I'm going to keep on my little subject while they sit down there and look stupid. Yeah, man, I don't know, something about when you don't eat seasoned food for Thanksgiving, you just be angry and get on live streams and talk shit. It ain't my fault y'all white folks do not know how to season food. It's not my fault, okay? I'm just doing my live streams. I seasoned my food, and it was amazing. That's why I'm happy today. I'm not chasing around live streams mad and pissed off because I didn't get no seasoning. You probably still coughing from that dry-ass turkey. Look. Figure it out, okay? Go get you some KFC for today. They open back up. That'll get some seasoning in you, okay? That's all. That's where you get your seasonings from. All right, so Carolyn Prince, would it be? I actually found something. I don't know if I got it. Oh, somebody had put this here, and as we're gonna see, somebody posted this house, and they say, "Hey, this is of the Carolyn Prince family who lived here, Choctaw Freedmen." But somewhere I seen it say Henry Prince, Carolyn and Henry Prince. And that's where you know what? I think it was on the document. Let me see if I got that document still open. I thought I wanted to keep it open. Yeah. Because when we look at these schools and the schools that the freedmen had, we're going to notice a pattern. We're going to see how our schools were actual schools and people were like together and being in schools and stuff like that. We're going to notice a pattern that people were actually doing school shit. And we're going to notice a pattern with the Siberians that none of them was going to school. They were going to war, right? They were training people for war. And you got to wonder why would two Indian schools around the same time have such a dichotomy? The black so-called freedmen Indian schools are being taught valuable skills in life and are shown to be like progressing, and one becomes a judge and becomes a principal chief of a tribe who went to the Tallahassee school. He said he was taught by a big New York professor at the Tallahassee Manual Labor School, and everybody was having all these good experiences. But when you listen to the Native Americans talk about their stuff, first of all, they make it seem like it was hell, it was horror, they was getting poked on, it was kill the Indian, save the man, whatever, blah, 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 this and that. And then when you actually look into the actual photographs, they look like they going to war. And then you gotta ask the question: how come y'all look like y'all going to war and all this other stuff, but we over here actually learning in school? We actually progressing in school. That's what we're gonna see today with all kind of proof and receipts. Let me see if I can get to that. Go to my history and get back to that page, or maybe if I just type in Caroline and Henry Prince Home Freedman. Let me see. It might be one of these. Not that one. Oh yeah, okay. It's this Project Gutenberg thing, and this thing was long, dude. Do you see how long this thing was? I almost didn't go through the whole thing, but every time I went somewhere, I saw more photographs. Look at these, man. Look at these photos of us, man. Look at these photos of us, y'all. Back then. Look at these photos, man. Look at these folks. I know some beaties. Some of y'all might know some beaties. I don't know no Bridges. I don't know no Bridges and like some famous Todd Bridges or something. That's the name that just comes to mind. Know some Meadows, Crabtree. I've heard of some Crabtrees. I can't think of who on the Crabtree side. But look at some of these things. You'll notice we are well to do. We are great people. We are doing amazing things. We are Indians. We are amazing. But let me go down here at the bottom. Like it was down. And then I went to the index. It had a little index down here. Prince. Notice it right there? Let me screenshot that so I don't forget. Caroline Henry Prince. And when you click the little 406, it takes you right to here. So that's how I was able to actually tie, I'm actually going to likely be able to tie her, because as you see, my grandpa and them are in Choctaw County, Hickman Prince. They got Choctaw Freeman paperwork, right? Choctaw Freeman paperwork. I'm talking about a Choctaw Freeman school, right? And the house is built next on the Choctaw Freeman school area. That's why they took the photo of the house. So this is likely my folks, okay? Likely, and none of us had known that, you know what I'm saying? What's up, Welcome Gator? What's up, everybody coming up in here? Let me look down and see what's up with y'all, man. Mikal Bridges, NBA player. Okay, some of y'all probably know that. Let's see what else y'all say. What's up, Monet? Megatron. What's up, Al James? Do we go on their lives disputing their heritage? I know, right? I need to start. I've only done it like once. But that's only because they actually be all up in ours. I only do it in retaliation to these bastards. They learn it at the same time. Yeah, we out here for sure learning. All right, yeah, let's keep building. Let's keep building. So that's how I found this. And so now we about to get into like these schools, okay? So first of all, how many of y'all knew that there were let me see what's the best way to this is funny. We'll get to that. We will get to that. That's an amazing photograph. We'll get to this. Another amazing photograph of our folks. We will get to this. Letters. Okay, direct correspondence from back in the day in these schools. We will get to this. Look at that, in the 1800s. We shall get to this. Okay. Just to kind of show you what your boy been scrounging up at this bitch. So let me tell you where I started. So now we knew about their schools. Okay, we've seen what was going on in their schools, right? And we'll do a quick brief overview. What was going on in the so-called Indian schools at the time in the early 1900s on their side of the game? And you know what? As I say that, before I get to that, I'm going to say this. I started to think about this here recently. One thing you don't see, let me just do, I'm going to just say, Choctaw Chickasaw Freedmen. Oh crap. Choctaw Freedmen. There we go. Images. Now, one thing I want you to realize is, I ain't no telling what I was pulling up, but most of these should be us, right? What you will almost never see with the freedmen in old black and white photographs is you will almost never see them and those other so-called red Indians together ever. I have never that I can think of. Look at that. That house just popped up. Look at that. Off of KSO OSU OU used it. Ain't that some shit? I just typed in Chickasaw. Let me look at that and see what they said. But that now that I know they talk, that's my family's crib. Wow. We're not going anywhere. Choctaw Freemen cite histories to tribal nation to fight for citizenship. Whatever. That's on NPR, dude. They done used my family's crib on NPR. Wow. I gotta send this to my mom. Just so she can know, like, no, it ain't. People be using that motherfucker. Off in Oak Hill in 1914. So 1914, we're trying to figure out who's those people in that photograph. 1914, if that is correct, could Hickman Prince would be kind of old. So 1914, let's go back. Probably be Randall's fault. Randall and them. Randall would have been a little older. It could be Randall, or it could be Hickman. Hickman would have been a youngin. He would have been in 1914. He would have been like a teenager. Wow, it could have been Hickman. And we got a photo of Hickman. I'll show you a photo of Hickman. He looks like my papa. I should have a photo of my papa somewhere, but right there, that's Hickman Prince. He looks really much a lot like my papa, to be honest, man. I wish I could find a quick photo of my papa. I was trying to think in my head where the hell one is, but I need to upload one there here, to be honest. Let me see if anybody's added one of my papa on here. You wish you were full-blooded, ha ha. People are crazy. People are jealous. Do you think I wish I had anything to do with what the hell y'all got going on? No, they ain't got nothing listed here. Okay. Well, I need to upload some stuff for him. But, okay, it's either Hickman or Randall or somebody in this realm or something like that. And they said the late Carolyn Prince, so it would have been like, I don't know, it could have been somebody over here. I don't know, but, okay. So, anyways, my thing is, what you're not going to see when you go to the Chickasaw stuff, that got me off because I wasn't even expecting to see their photograph right there. That's crazy. What you'll never see are the freedmen together with any of those so-called red folks. And you got to think about that because their claim, people like him, because he's the chief now of the Chickasaw Nation. Yeah, that's very funny. But their claim is that you all were our slaves. And the only reason you went to Oklahoma is because we allowed you to come to Oklahoma with us. And then when you came up there, we still had you as slaves. We just didn't so-called treat you as bad as what they try to say. So how come there's no photographs depicting us with y'all ever? In the schools, in the photographs, just when people are doing their little thing. Like when this photograph was taken of my folks' house right here, this dude actually has a whole collection that I'm about to go through called the Kenny Seibert Collection in the Oklahoma Historical Society. I said, oh, shit. That's 653 photographs. I was like, oh, shit, let me go through here. Actually, that's what made me think about this. I was like, you know what? If he went around to Choctaw Nation taking photographs and shit, Shouldn't he have gotten a photograph with the red man and the black man together, just kind of walking about? Or just kind of doing life? Huh. How come y'all don't exist in a time frame where we exist so prevalently? But you say you exist. And not only do you say you exist, you say you owned us, and you said you let us go, and you said you divvied us out the land. But how come when I see us at the Dolls Rose Act, right? Where is that? Where is that at? I just seen that photograph. How come when I see us at the Dolls Rose Act, is white folks divvying out the paperwork and the allotments? So if white folks are handling this part of the game, all right, all of our Indian schools, I see us starting, or sometimes there's white folks associated with some of these Indian schools. Okay, so I see that going on. So where the fuck is y'all? Okay. I want y'all to keep that in mind the entire time I go through this presentation. I'm gonna be saying, where they at? Where they at though? Where they at? Where they at though? Where they at? Where the hell y'all at? Okay, y'all can stick around in my chat all you want to, but you damn sure wasn't around during this time, all right? You can stick around my chat all day, but where were you? Where were your folks? Well, I'm gonna show you where your folks was. You see, let's start off with them, and then we'll get to our freedmen schools. You see, it all started with pieces of paper like this for your folks. Yeah. Signatures. I'm sorry, not signatures. Names on a manifest. Getting your bitch ass shipped over here for something. Places like Japan, as we've seen, right? Coming over in the 1900s, early 1900s, nothing but males. What do you do with a bunch of males at these ages? Prime male ages for something. And it's a bunch of them coming over. One female. I feel sorry for the female. How the hell are these men gonna procreate? Who the hell they gonna procreate with? What if nobody procreates with their ass, period? Don't nobody want no Japanese all the time like that? But, okay, I'm not here to, shit on Japanese folks. Just the ones that came over here away from their country, like Hong Kong. Like Hong Kong, right? In 1894. Around that time. What are we doing with a bunch of men coming over from Hong Kong? I just not sure about this one. But okay. All right. So let's go. Let's look at some, we got some other ones, other list of separate list of Chinese passengers. 1882 on some of these lists. Why were we bringing in Chinese folks and Japanese folks and people from Hong Kong? And here's another manifest. This is the alien crew list. The Department of Commerce and Labor Immigration Service. Okay, so it's not just people coming up over a boat just to have fun and leave. No, this is a immigration service, if you was wondering. So that means these people are immigrating, right? And they're coming on over here. Okay? And it's a bunch of males, for the most part, and of decent ages. Okay? So, okay. But we also got some, we also got this, talking about these Chinese passengers coming here. We ain't going to get too deep in the woods because we've been through this before, right? And I just want to show this last one because I got to throw in the Mexicans, right? The ports coming in from Mexico in the 1908 time frame. Because I just want to give you all a quick visual before we jump into these yearbooks to see what these people were doing in their schools. And then we're going to look and see what we were doing in our schools through as many photographs as we can find and compare it to. What was they schools like that were called Indian schools? What was our schools like that was called Indian schools? Where did these people come from? Well, I show you where they come from. So when you see them in the yearbook, we can now look at their phenotype and associate them with certain boats, right? And even though that's just a manifest, it would be, you'd have. I'm gonna show you a manifest from out of those records. So that would be the main page, but you'd get like this manifest record here with people's name like Jalaya Cantu, place of birth, Guerrero, something Mexico, MX. Says the nationality is MX for Mexico. Their race is Mexico. They're a child. I guess they're a child. It says child. Laredo, Port of Laredo, Department of Commerce, Immigration Service, Mexican Border District. Okay. So we are not just coming here just to have fun and leave. We're coming here to be an immigrant. Okay. But what do immigrants need after they get here? If you've been an immigrant for some time, what are most immigrants seeking? Citizenship, right? Citizenship. And how do they get it? We're going to see how they get it. We're going to see how they get it. And just to give you a slight view, we're going to see how they get it through the Snyder Bill, okay, which made Indian fighter citizens to the U.S. We'll get to that. Let's go up, because as I show you this should make you wonder, what do you mean Indian fighters? What do you mean Indian fighters in the Snyder Bill? And what do you mean that you want to give citizenship to people as long as they can show that they had an honorable discharge in the war? Let me show you right here. It says it actually real quick. Where is it at? One of these hard to read ones right here. That every American Indian, if he so desires, who served in the military or naval establishment with the United States during the war against the Imperial German government, and who has received or shall receive hereafter an honorable discharge, shall, on proof of such discharge and after proper identification before a court of competent jurisdiction, be granted full citizenship. Now, that's your 1924 citizenship bill, ushered in by the Snyder Bill, right? You gotta love it. That was like dramatic with that term right there. What the Snyder Bill? Dun, 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 dun. I'm tripping. All right, so the Snyder Bill. All right, but I thought that just gave people Indian citizenship. It does, because if you actually look at the Snyder Bill, it don't say all that. It just says, hey, be it enacted by the Senate and the House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled, that all non-citizen Indians born within the territorial limits of the United States be, and they are hereby declared to be, citizens of the United States, provided that the granting of such citizenship shall not in any manner impair or otherwise affect the right of any Indian or tribal and other property. Now, this is what they wrote down, but why do I have to go to the newspapers to figure out that this is actually called the Snyder Bill, and that the Snyder Bill was looking to make Indian fighters citizens? Okay, all right. Well, let's go. Let's go to the yearbook. I done fed you enough. Let's check out who these people are in the yearbooks. I've been on this topic for a minute, but not that long. And just before I show that, let me just show one of our beautiful photographs here real quick. In the beautiful Indian Territory Illustrated, right? And you see the beautiful melanated faces in the back. Everybody, you got folks holding hands for probably doing some kind of prayer or something. And you got these folks, all these folks in the back, all these folks looking at the camera as they should in their nice dresses with nice patterns. Little white things at the top. I don't know. Everybody was looking in their best, boy. They knew they was taking photos today. Taking a photo today. Got some Possible white T dude there and some white dude people were back there. Children over here together. I think that's a little white kid probably playing with the black kid. He's having the time of his life, learning the lingo. You know how they do. They cloak themselves, get a little bit of it, and act like they one of us after a while, But okay, all right. So that's one of our schools. Now we're gonna talk about some of their schools. Now, if you're in the 1927 times in their schools, it didn't look as bad at first when I first started looking at it. Now, it didn't look bad, but it looked very, very white. Okay? Now, this is 1927. We're really going to have to go back further to look at this corruption. But I just want you to see what it was in 1927 at the Greenville. Wasn't that the right one? Oh, this says Indian Head. I think that's the Greenville Indian School. This says Greenville High School. It could have changed on me. Let me not. This may not be them. It may be. I could have been on the right one. Cause see, yeah, no, it is. Cause this is Indian Head. Yeah, Greenville High School. See, I'm not tripping. But I will say this. I think this was supposed to be an Indian school before. Cause I looked at this one quite a bit ago. I think this one used to be an Indian school, and then they changed it over to a regular school. So I'm going to get past that. I'm going to go past that. Because I actually had to get back. At some point, I started thinking, man, I got to go to the early ones. Because I was in stuff like this. I was in stuff like the 1954s at first. So I'm just kind of giving you my rundown. And then eventually, I started looking at the Library of Congress. And I noticed that they had some schools that happened in possibly the 1880s. All right. And so that kind of gave me a time frame to work with. Now, this is one of their earliest photographs. OK, now it looks like they just wrangled together a bunch of dusty folk from any kind of background. Mexicans, to be honest. It looks like a bunch of Mexicans, to be honest with you. But, let them tell that they're Indians. OK, so a bunch of Mexicans who are Indians, right, at the Carlisle Indian School. All right, so now I kind of had names. These are your Chihuahua Apaches. Now, they don't want me to think that they're Mexicans, yet they call themselves not really Chihuahua, but it was like Chiricahua, but it looks like Chihuahua, okay, and Apaches. And they got hair straight up like Mexicans. They got garments in Mexican patterns, but, that's not a Mexican, right? All right, but you know what's funny? They don't have those triangle patterns, those typical triangle patterns you would see on those fake $5. You don't see them there. You see Mexican patterns. Some of the patterns you might see amongst the Seminoles, but Carlisle is not where the Seminoles are. Carlisle is way up in Pennsylvania. So these are a bunch of people from somewhere, likely Mexico. And and they want you to think they're in this. Okay, so now later on they try to act like they dressed them up. But the crazy thing about this photograph is you got so many people looking the wrong way. And not looking one way as if somebody in the room just all of a sudden did something. These people are looking that way while that dude's looking that way. While this dude is looking that way. While that dude's looking that way, but he's looking this way. And he's looking that way, he's looking that way, he's looking this way, he's looking that way. And how could so many people miss the goddamn photographer right in front of you, right? And that's why I showed this before, because the photographer is sitting way the hell back on this one. He had to be in order to get a wide shot. So how could these people keep their eyes on the goddamn photographer? Everybody got their eyes damn near on the goddamn photographer, even the kids on the ground, right? Ain't nobody missing a motherfucking mark, except for the people who want to look at what's going on over here. And that's obvious. She's a little girl. She's looking over there at what's going on. And they're doing their thing in the circle. And then she's over here looking like, hey, man, I'm looking at that cameraman, all right? So everybody know damn near, and these people in the back look like they might be looking at the cameraman. Everybody know where the goddamn cameraman, people on the porch looking at the cameraman. Everybody, people probably up here looking at the cameraman. Everybody know how to look at the cameraman. But the earliest photographs I can find of these folks, They got twisted face syndrome going on. I don't get it. I really don't understand it. Okay. So, okay, well, let's look a little bit further. So, as I look into some of their earliest yearbooks, I start to find things like this: the Choloco Choir. Now, I'm not thinking too much. I said, that's kind of a funny attire for a choir. And the guy looks either Mexican or Japanese or something, and he looks a little mad. Is this a school? Okay, all right, all right. Everybody's got okay, what kind of people are these? They want you to believe these are Indians? Huh. Okay. Why they dressed up like that? Okay. For the choir. All right. Okay. So I said let's keep that. And then you get the literary society of the Cholocos. Huh. Everybody's got military hats on for literary society shit. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what's going on here. Literary society. I said, okay, so let's go to the next one. Oh, okay. Yeah, everybody needs a battalion. Everybody needs a boys' battalion. Yeah. Now this is the Carlisle, not the Choloco. This is the Carlisle around the same time. I said, they got rifles at the Choloco, and y'all didn't turn them on him and take your land back? And they gave you rifles in your hand, and you said you was forced on these reservations. You was forced into these schools. Your mothers was said they took you away screaming. Let me show y'all. They said the mothers took them away screaming to these schools. Hold on. But yet they put a gun in your hand and
That hearing with her words.
I remember seeing my mom crying as she stood and watched 6 of her 8 children being placed on a big green bus and taken to Fort Totten Indian Boarding School in Fort Totten, North Dakota. That image is forever imprinted in my mind and in my heart.
well, she never should have did that interview. Otherwise, I wouldn't have looked up the Fort Totten and saw that the Fort Totten band was also dressed in military outfits. Sorry, ma'am, you should have shut your fucking mouth. What's another page of the Fort Totten? They got a battalion too. What was she crying about as she sent them off? What was she crying because they were maybe going off to war? I wonder what was going on at the Fort Totten school. I don't want to just look at one photo and just assume, but they do got rifles and some wars in their hand. I don't know. Kind of following a similar pattern. As you can see, I'm in the Fort Totten School, the historical district of the South North Dakota shit. Your boy dig deep, boy. They don't know a nigga scrounging through their shit. See, this is the little shit under it. It was from taken between 1910 and 1919. Okay, y'all. We getting their history. We figuring out who these folks are. And we're gonna get to our schools here momentarily because how come their schools have this stuff happening and ours don't? But we'll get to that. You got your Navajo yearbook here around the same time, and what's going on in the Navajo yearbook around the same time? They got rifles in their hands too. In the yearbook, I wonder what they were training these kids to do. I wonder why they were crying as they were leaving. They pointing the guns at the cameraman, but nobody shot at the people who forced you to come to the school. Okay. All right. So you know, let's go back up to some more of these real quick, and then we're gonna start moving towards our schools. So we're starting to see a theme here. Let me see where I left off. We're starting to see the thing we saw there. Let's get to the Carlisle. We'll go to the Carlisle real quick. So this is the Carlisle in 1918. Carlisle is one of the most corrupt. And why is that? Not only do they have people like that as the superintendent, right? You know, his look should say it all. The type of phenotype of these folks should tell you exactly who I showed you that came on over those boats. Japanese, Chinese, Filipino, you know, a mixture of whatever, you know, some with Siberian, Mongolian, anything you can grab over there with straight hair and who ain't white. Basically, and who ain't super melanated. They had a class in mind, right? And they had different ones of those classes coming over. They'll throw any kind of thing at you, even one of him at you, right? At the Carlisle. Let me move forward. That was like them in a play. This is the agricultural club, because when you go digging and having, you know, messing with animals and plowing and plowing the fields and tilling the grounds and stuff, you got to be dressed up in full military outfits, because that's the best way to do agriculture. What does it say behind there? Are you young? I ain't never seen that back there. Are you something American? Prove it. Something third Liberty Loan. I don't know. I thought there was something about becoming in the Army. Okay. So yeah, so they're in full military outfits. One would say that that's supposed to be there. And, you know, you got guys like this, you know, a little sinister looking over the whole thing. But okay. So then you go here in the Carlisle, and then you have the students of another battalion. Boy, every single one of these schools seems to have a battalion. Why would they all have battalions? What are battalions for? And how they get so many Army outfits for these folks? Who paid for that? And why? They just wanted them to be in Army outfits? With leaders like that, and here they are, you know. Okay. But yeah, so, you know, here they are with the rifles, and this is all at the Carlisle. The debate society. Yeah, they're about to debate somebody, all right. They're about to debate somebody overseas. They definitely about to debate somebody overseas, man to man, okay? But okay. And we'll get to that. We don't need to get to that list. Because another wave of immigrants come here, but that's after these people. These people came between 1800. No. I take that back. No, these people came toward the tail end of this bitch. These people came between like 1880s to the 1900s, like early 1900s. So I might be able to find some people in this list, but I haven't looked in there, because that was also the New York port. But the New York port could have some of these people from the Carlisle School, because that was in Pennsylvania. Okay, my bad. You know I ain't been looking down, y'all. I hope y'all ain't mad at me. I appreciate y'all in there chatting it up and all that good stuff and doing what you do. We just getting at the game here. Okay, so we're starting to solidify this. This is their band in the Carlisle. We're starting to solidify who these folks are, right? And what they came. They got shipped over here. They went to these Indian schools. And some of these Indian schools, they love to have signs like this for some reason. History of the world? Okay. Because I forgot to show y'all, in the Chilocco, they had a float that looked like this in it. Oh, they was driving around with a float on it like that. Okay. And I also saw it in their yearbook, all over the yearbook, but we're not getting into that. when you look at stuff like this is another one. Here they are, pledging all kind of allegiances and shit. Just pretty sad. You know what I'm saying? Y'all supposed to be preserving your Indian heritage or something, ain't you? These are more people in military outfits and other in that school or another school or another year. I can't even remember. Look, I'm gonna tell you like this: it was so many military outfits and battalions, I lost goddamn count. Look, so many, I lost count, nigga. Okay. If it's not obvious what they's doing, and then you would see photographs like this of them playing around as if they was really doing track shit. But then the next day they're gonna take a photograph like this, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay. You never actually see them running track. You're just seeing them taking photographs in what looks like army outfits, to be honest, army underwear. We'll call that the track team. Okay. We need some yearbook photos. Put on your bottoms and get over here and we'll call that the gym club. Okay. Those look like military bottoms to me, but I guess that's what you wear to the gym, huh? I guess you wear pleated pants to the goddamn gym, nigga. Niggas is fucking crazy, nigga. Crazy. Even as far back, and I wanted to show this. This is Carlisle, through the Carlisle EDU website. And this is one of the earliest I can find of photos from their yearbook. And they're still dressed in battalion outfits. Never have I ever not seen them in battalion outfits, okay? And many other schools. This is another school, the Sherman School. The Sherman School band is in military outfits. What you thought, nigga? The military, they got a battalion too, nigga. What you thought? Everybody got battalions, nigga. You didn't I tell you? But they also have mariachi bands. Now, never mind, they don't want you to know that Mexicans were coming there, even though I can easily show you a correspondence, as some of you all have seen, and I always tend to overlook as I scroll through and get mad several times because I overlook it several times and it just pisses me off. But hopefully I find it here shortly. Here it goes. As you see, we have a letter here, correspondence from 1917 from talking about the Carlisle Indian School saying, hey, regarding a possible arrangement for Mexican students to be coming to the Carlisle Indian School. That's a long letter. It says it multiple times that they were admitting in Mexican students. Now, if that wasn't enough, then I just showed you, where'd it go? Where the hell am I at? Oh, yeah. I just showed you some damn Mexican students. Because one thing you got to say is it is not Indian, $5 native tradition to wear satin shirts with your goddamn vest on and play the motherfucking violin with your hair grease like that. That's not, I don't see no triangles and no motherfucking feathers and shit. Nigga, that's, whose culture is this? Who is this? When did they get to the Indian schools? What are they doing in the Indian school yearbook? Well, we already know, right? And if that ain't enough about wanting to know about if there were Mexican people at the school or not, well, I'll show you one other thing. And this is a good old primary document here. The Department of Interior, the United States Indian Service, the Cochita Pena, whatever, New Mexico, Santa Fe, at one of these schools. And it says, this particular section right here, it says, hey, she is deeply infatuated with that young Mexican. And when suggested that he was only assuming himself and flirting with other girls, she said that she had been told so in a letter, but did not believe it. She talked quite freely with me about him and believes he is going to marry her. Whatever. But Mexicans were here in Indian territories, okay? Just keep that in mind. Okay, no matter what. If you need more proof than that, I don't know how the hell else to prove. The mariachi band don't prove it. And the damn handwritten letter don't prove it. And the damn correspondence of the motherfuckers, the Carlisle Indian School saying, let's get some of these Mexicans in here. Don't prove it. And I don't know how the hell else to prove it. He said Cheeto Filipino. What up, Chief EJ Smoker? Let's finish them up. And then we're gonna look into our schools and what we were doing at the time. So we know we've got a good picture that immigrants were coming in here, and that some of these immigrants have made their way to these Indian schools. Okay? Now, what was happening after that? They were being trained for war. Now, what kind of proof do we have that they went to war? Well, we got cards from the government right here that says, hey, 224 Indians were sent to the World War. Pretty much easy. And they say it was 205 Army and 15 Navy. We also have, what'd I do with it? I thought I was right by it. I hate when stuff is like right there. It's like this photograph that let me just type it in. There you go. We got this photograph here. It says the 5 seniors who served Uncle Sam, and it looks like some immigrants. One is dressed in a Army outfit. The other one is dressed in a Navy outfit. And I just showed you, this is the Carlisle School. As you can see, this is their yearbook shit up there, right? And I just showed you. I'll be going through so much of that shit. I just showed you that they said they sent off some people from the Army and the Navy. And he said that they served Uncle Sam. So, I mean, it's 100% proof that these niggas was training up motherfuckers from somewhere else in the Indian schools and to send them somewhere else. And that's why a bunch of these people in these Indian schools look like Mexicans, depending on where they are. They either look like Mexicans, Alaskan natives, or Filipinos, or whatever the hell else. All kind of things, right? And we ain't even going to get into their names and where they come from with their names and stuff like that. That's not in about this. We've already gone into that. We know who they are. We've even talked about having their correspondence of them coming back from war. 1919, coming back from war, all right? 1918, Navy, coming back from war. Indian, severely wounded, coming back from war. All these people coming back from war, right? So, okay, we got a great timeline. And then, after that same time, what was that year they was coming back from war? 1919? Coincidentally, after they're coming back from war, Mr. Snyder says we need to give them citizenship. God damn it. I think it's about goddamn time we done gave these people citizenship. The real Indians, yeah. The real ones that just got here. We don't care about you black bastards. Anyways, y'all know I be tripping, right? Y'all know I be tripping. So, you know, here we are. You know what I'm saying? The Snyder Bill comes out around the same time he's advocating citizenship. And what is he requiring for that citizenship? He requires service. Let me even read it on. It says it on here too. Let me read this. One of Mr. Snyder's first acts after he became chairman of the Indian Committee, right after he became chairman of the Indian Committee, okay, was to introduce a bill. Each of the 15,000 Indians who fought in the last war should be full citizens of the United States. God damn it. If you fought in the war, get on over here. Pretending daydreaming. No, we're just reading through the documents, exposing who you are. We love doing that. And people love it. You see, it's 90-something, almost 90 people in here. They like to see you get exposed. I think you almost like it too. You probably get a little kick out of it. But I think you're a little worried too. Because there's no way y'all are going to show paperwork that'll get you past 1870. I bet money you can't show paperwork that'll get you past 1870. So, people were granted citizenship if you could provide honorable discharge papers in front of a jurisdictional court, blah, 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 according to the last one. This one simplified it, as long as you fall, right? But that's funny. Why is it like that when you look it up, it says American Indian Citizenship Day is observed on June 2nd to commemorate the passage of the Indian Citizenship Act on 1924. The act granted U.S. citizenship to all Native Americans born within the United States, but did not automatically grant them the right to vote, a right that many states continue to deny. I wonder why they would deny you the right to vote. Typically, they deny immigrants the right to vote. Seems like that federal government was recognizing you, but the states don't. I wonder why that is. If you were just a citizen, a sovereign person who's always been here, it shouldn't be that hard to just allow you to start voting, should it? I can show you clips where the Narragansetts, unfortunately, the Narragansetts, that'd be a good clip to show real quick. The Narragansetts had to claim to be African Americans in order to gain the right to vote. Let me show you that clip. But it shows you how easy it is. You know, it sucks, but it's easy. For y'all, they still ain't letting you. Why ain't they letting you? Well, what is that clip under? Damn. That's a good clip. I know how to get to it, though. Right there. Damn, that was good.
All wish to remain traditionally as their ancestors had been. Made sure there was the teaching. Go out there and learn all that you can from these people. But never forget who you are. Never forget you have your own language, your own religion, and your own way of acceptance.
In Rhode Island, some citizens who did not own property had to wait until 1928 before they were granted voting rights. But three groups were still officially barred by state law from casting a ballot: paupers, the mentally incompetent, and Indians. The only way the Narragansetts could participate in elections was by identifying themselves as African Americans.
Oh, hold up. What? Say that one more time.
But three groups were still officially barred by state law from casting a ballot: paupers, the mentally incompetent, and Indians. The only way the Narragansetts could participate in elections was by identifying themselves as African Americans. Charles Ernest Hazard confronted officials who enforced this practice. His brother, Joseph, one of the oldest members of the Narragansett Nation, recalls the moment.
That's a real copper-colored Indian. That's a real one.
Indians couldn't vote, so he went up to the State House and he says, it's on the charter that the Indians can't vote. And he says, you're voting, ain't you? And he says, no. He says, I consider myself a Narragansett Indian. If I vote, I'm voting under Negroes could vote, but not an Indian. And he said, I consider myself a Narragansett, not a black, so I'd like to have that changed. So they did.
In 1950,
All who wish to
They was out there trying to get you to change it over. We just needed to change it over on paper. Don't you want to vote? Don't you want to vote Democrat? Don't you want all these great democratic things we can do for you? But come on over here and be an African American today. Yeah. It's just a formality. We just need it for the paperwork. Yeah. Yeah, You can do all your Indian stuff. We'll believe you later. Yeah. We'll believe you later, although this paperwork is going to say different, and so will our history books. All right, so let's go back. Now, as they were doing that to us, they were flying these bitch niggas in and training them to go kill, right? So now let's get to us. What were we doing? Well, I've already showed you that the Snyder Bill gave them citizenship. Let me show you one last thing. Remember I said that Indian Citizenship Day was stated to be observed in 1924, right? 1924? Tell me why I found this. In 1898, almost 30 years before. Tell me why I found that. Indian Citizenship Day. How can an Indian Citizenship Day exist years before the Indian Citizenship Act? Ooh. And who's celebrating it? Who is the Hampton Institute? Who is the Hampton Institute? Why were they celebrating Indian citizenship? Well, it actually says it right here. The Hampton Institute this afternoon of the signing of the Dawes Bill, which gave Indians the right of American citizenship, was a notable event. The anniversary called Indian Citizenship Day. Now, who was celebrating Indian Citizenship Day? Who is the Hampton Institute? Yes, Hampton University. Right here, the 1898 Hampton Institute was the premier school for the racial minority, specifically African Americans, Native students, to become teachers and skills. Yes, it was the same Hampton University. It was an HBCU. Why would an HBCU be celebrating Indian Citizenship Day in 1898 and every year afterwards? Let me see. Let me go here. My bad. And every year afterwards. Let me pull it back up. This is 1898, 1899. And then I pull up one from like a later time instead of going through all of them. 1899. There's one from like the 1922. 1922. They were still celebrating it even all the way up to damn near close to 1924 when it got overshadowed by the fake Indian Citizenship Act, which gave fighters of a war citizenship with a honorable discharge. Not all Indians, but the wording of it today is all Indians got citizenship that day. But Indians got citizenship in the Dawes Rolls, the last of them. Some got citizenship before that through the treaties, like the Dancer Rabbit Treaty. So if you was on the Dancer Rabbit Treaty and you stayed in Alabama in those areas in Mississippi and Louisiana, and your family stayed there, you got citizenship around 1830, while some of us went to Oklahoma and was still under Indian citizenship, under the Dawes Rolls, while you were under American citizenship. And then eventually, after the Dawes Rolls, they gave all of us in statehood in Oklahoma City. They gave us actual citizenship, and that was the rest of really the Indians getting citizenship. Now these other fools getting citizenship are people who went to those schools that I showed you. Now let's see what was happening at our schools. Now before I get to that, I'm going to show you an example of somebody who went to the schools, who was a Creek Indian chief that eventually became a Creek Indian chief. His name is like Legwis something Perryman, last name Perryman. Well, he had an autobiography. Where did the autobiography clip at? This is his. This is like who he's. This is like who he's kin to down his line, like a great grandfather who was also a chief of the Creek Indians. They redrew him and played around with the funny whatever, but it is what it is. Where is that autobiography from him? Right here. And what actually got me, this is it. What actually got me thinking about this dude is this right here. This document is what got me thinking about this dude. What's this document? This document is the Five Civilized Tribes Census. I was trying to find this right here. Is this right here. The extra census bulletin, the Five Civilized Tribes.gov. So this is a .gov source. And when I was going through there, and I already found some crazy stuff all the way up there, but then I saw this particular paragraph, and as y'all know, man, I really be reading. But it says these Negroes are amongst the earnest workers in the 5 tribes. The Creek Nation affords the best example of Negro progress. It says the principal chief, virtually a Negro, comes to the famous Creek annals. His name is Legwis Chateau Perryman. Okay, Legwis Chateau Perryman. Let me look down here real quick. I appreciate y'all. Yeah, you can let the trolls go, but unless they spam too much, if you put like a comment every goddamn minute, and not giving at least a few minutes before you put another comment, we just gonna mute your dumb ass. If you want to sit around and troll a little bit, we're gonna let you troll some, but if you just gonna spam the chat, bitch, we're gonna get your bitch ass out of here. So you better have some goddamn chat decorum in this bitch, or we're gonna get your bitch ass out. Arrow, Blue Arrow, whatever the fuck, you ain't got no name. Yeah, we're gonna get your bitch ass out if you gonna spam the chat. Okay, well, you ain't gotta ask me, bitch. That's all you gotta do. Gone, bo. All right, bet. Nigga, shit, that nigga made it easy. Shit, who else want to ask me to block you? Go ahead and request a block. Who else wants to request a block? I got my blocking finger ready right now, nigga. I don't like to add a lot of miles, man, to be honest with you. I appreciate you, but it's nothing against anybody. I just don't really need too many things going on. Too many people riding. I don't really have too much going on, but I appreciate you asking though. In the beautifully. Hey, you going to cover? Okay, yeah. Hey, okay. Nobody else want the black. I was just making sure. But you cool all with me, Indian, all year. I've been shouting you out for sure on the pensionados thing, and I still haven't made the direct correlation, but it's correlated enough. In my opinion, I was looking for Filipino manifest coming in from certain ports. I found Japan and China and all kind of other places. Visibility restricted. Allow does not contain a mention notice. All right, yeah. If we're gonna get reported, I'm gonna have my mind start blocking all of y'all then. I'm gonna appeal it. We gonna give it a moment. But if y'all gonna make my numbers go down through restrictions, then we're gonna just start permanently blocking y'all again. Cause that's what I did before. Hey, that's exactly more that. Cause see, I be wanting to allow. What's up, CR? I be wanting to allow some of these people in. You know what I'm saying? And appreciate y'all for the gifts. I be wanting to let some of these people to stay in, and I'll go back and forth with them. I'll even let them come up. Most of the time, they're just gonna get clowned, but and I don't even have to block them after that if they want to do a little bit of. But if y'all gonna report some bullshit, then yeah, nah. So they can't help it, bro. Yeah, they on their last end. They know they on their last end. Like, this nigga done went. These niggas is going in the crates, man. We all going in the crates. And we all, like, for a while, a lot of us was focusing our attention on just proving who we are and where we come from and, you know, life starting here and all this other stuff. But it's like, man, some of us are starting to look directly into them. Well, let me just figure out where you came from. And some people already have. Some have looked up their, like, genetic differences and, you know, the earth histories. But, like, I started to just hyper focus on this main period of when they got here and the citizenship thing. And really, it wasn't that I chose this. It's just that I was just, my studies just so happened to lead me this way. Like today, I'm literally going through all the Freeman boarding school searches I can. Each Freeman, there was 23 schools listed that were Freeman boarding schools, which we're gonna get to. And I just told myself, man, I'm about to Google every single one of these and see what I can find, what government documents and shit, and look the name. Excuse me, and also look the names up in National Archive Records, Library of Congress, all that shit, and see what all I can find, and the newspapers, and see what all I can find. And I haven't even really scratched the surface. Really, so far I've just Googled. And I found so much shit that I ain't really had to even touch the other sources. And most of those sources came from like official sources. But okay, anyway. So what you have here, let me get back to this. What you have here is virtually a Negro being appointed. I think they may have took the little restriction, not a restriction still there. You have a Negro saying he was appointed as principal chief, right? And so when I looked him up, this is the guy. And then when eventually I looked up something, I found his little autobiography here. On a website. Now, this doesn't mean it's official, but no, it's a biography, not an autobiography. So it ain't by him, but this is what it says here. It says that, hold on, my bad. My correct and full name is Legwis Chateau Perryman, whatever. I was born in Sodom Creek Nation, Indian Territory. I thought the whole name of Sodom was kind of crazy. Near Tallahassee. While my mother and father were visiting the old place, whatever. And then you come down here and it says, my mother, unalive, there about the year of 1853 to 54, I was sent to the Tallahassee Manual Labor School in 1850. Okay, why is that important? Well, what is the Tallahassee Labor School? Well, the Tallahassee Labor School is this right here that I showed you in the beginning. This is where he went. He said he went there in 1850. This photo is from 1891. So it was in operation for over 40-some years, right? Well, let me show you this, though. When you look up on the Bureau of Indian Affairs website, I might even have it up still. This right here, and I look for the Tallahassee. This is the BIA.gov, and this is talking about the Indian boarding schools and the history of them. And on this page, I can look up the Tallahassee boarding school. We're just gonna go down. All right, so this is the Tallahassee boarding school information. Tallahassee boarding school. Now, there's a paragraph down here that talks about it, and without reading the whole thing, it basically says that the school, their excuse is the school was established in 1844. So first of all, think about it. It was established in 1844. Now, let me first say this. I didn't say it earlier. I showed you all of their schools earlier and how they were training for schools and everything else. Appreciate that, Monet. I just looked down, seeing you down there. Appreciate that. And I showed you those schools earlier, the earliest date that their schools were open were 1879 that I could find. Okay? But yet these schools, who were freedmen schools, were open way earlier, 1844. Now what they say, even though because they don't include Tallahassee in the other schools. Let me show you. Okay, instead of me just saying it, hold on, let me show you what I'm talking about. There's a map on the government site. NPS.gov. I be checking government to government sites, right? But in this list, they list 25 schools or 25 schools. Tallahassee ain't on this list. It makes you wonder, why wouldn't they put it on there? This is the government. It says Indian reservations and American Indian boarding schools of 1890. It says 1892. That's kind of, but the school was still in existence because I just showed you an 1891 photograph and it didn't get closed until way later. So, but by that time it was a so-called freedman one, but I didn't actually, I said Indian schools. Long story short, they don't show it on the map. Yet it was funded and opened early. And their excuse is that it was opened first to include full-blooded Creek people first, primarily full-blooded Creek, and then later opened to include freedmen. So they're basically saying, hey, in 1880, we kind of let the niggas in, but in 1850, yeah, it was open, but it was only full-blooded Creeks. But I just showed you an autobiography from Lewis Perryman, who, according to the census.gov, who had a forum, said was virtually a Negro. I'm going from .gov to .gov to .gov, checking all y'all niggas out together and making sure all y'all stories is fitting together, or else I'm gonna call y'all whole asses out, right? So I'm looking for the damn thing. So this is Lewis Perryman and oh, here it is. This said he was virtually a Negro on the government form, right? Virtually a Negro, but yet at the same time, you said that the school primarily accepted full-blooded students. And he said he attended the school in 1850, in the early days. And not only that, it sounded like that, sounded like Martin Luther King right there. Not only that, in 1850, received a good common school education under the Professor W.S. Robertson of New York State. So you got to think about it. And also down here, he ends up becoming a judge, and then he becomes a district judge eventually later on in his life after doing some serving, and then he becomes the principal chief after some time. So his education at the Tallahassee Manual Labor School in 1850, an Indian school, his education was a great education. His education was a great education, right? That's what I want to establish. We were in Indian schools getting a great education, while they were in Indian schools at the same time, well, way later, they got into Indian schools and they were being trained for war and then getting citizenship. So you get where I'm going? Now we're going to go down to some other schools that I started to go to. So that's the Tallahassee. And look at that. This is the Albuquerque Indians. The Albuquerque Indians, who look like a bunch of gross, I don't know what the hell, Mexicana, I don't know what. But they dressed up in military outfits also. Okay. But I started to find our schools. So this would be one of our schools. Now, when you look at us, you don't see us in military outfits. You see children. You see people looking to get an education. People dressed in their best dress, best in their outfits, ready to take their photograph. That's what you see in our schools. That's what you see in our schools. Let's see what other photographs we got. Look at the house it was. That was the same folks. When you zoom out, look at the schoolhouse at that time. Big. Likely built by us. Likely built by the folks, right? And you got to think about it. Where did they source all the materials? Them niggas built that. They built that motherfucker right there, man. The goddamn windows and shit. That's crazy. Right? Now let's go to more of our people. This is they people. I looked up another one. I just so happened to follow up on one of theirs. This is they people, right? Military outfits and playing along with the game, right? Like some bitches, right? Okay. Am I still restricted? Podcast restriction. My numbers going down. Well, we gonna start blocking y'all niggas. Well, it's all right. I got 71 people still in here. We good. So then I started looking at other ones. So this is the Oak Hill Industrial Academy. It was one on the list. So that's one of the buildings, right? I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. A lady out there selling with her calves, looking cool. Hair's done up, right? With the calves. Now we're here. We got a photograph at the Oak Hill. Now, our people aren't dressed in military outfits. Nope. In fact, you don't see a red man around us. You see some white. But you do not see the so-called red ever around us. Okay? And they're supposed to be the ones that help furnish us the schools because they were such nice red men. Okay, if y'all don't get the fuck out of here. Here's Oak Hill, 1902. Now in 1902, in 1902, where is it at? In 1902, at the Carlisle, this is what they was doing, military outfits and bands with a fake Indian on the motherfucking drum, okay? This is what they were doing in 1902, and this is what our graceful ancestors... I had to get the soft voice for it. Where'd it go? Oh, yeah, this is what our graceful ancestors was doing. We were building little big homes in the back. Look at that place. I don't give a damn what kind of place it is. I looked down for a second. I saw somebody say that's a dorm or a boarding home or something. I don't give a damn, nigga. It's big, okay? It's not no little shack, nigga. Nigga, build that for me today. Nigga, that motherfucker would be nice and right, okay? A 2-story multi-bedroom house with a damn sunroom thing going on over there. I don't know what the fuck that is. Same thing over there in the back, nigga. Roof and everything up, you know what I'm saying, nigga? What? Yeah, Oak Hill. I hope they don't want us to think somebody else built it for us. Yeah, right. Okay. Alice Lee Academy School, a school for Choctaw freedmen. Okay, it's another one I looked up. And look what we were doing. Look, we were playing a band too, guys. We was playing in a band, but you know what? We're not dressed in military outfits. Yeah, I just wanted y'all to notice that. You can play in a band without the need for a military outfit. It is possible. And in fact, I think it makes you hit better notes because the black people tend to play the music always better. I don't know why that is. It could be the lack of the military outfits or could be the soul. Could be that soul. Says, but they're in suits. Yeah, they're in nice suits. They in they best as they come out there to play their best. Whereas other people, I don't even think they know how to play the instruments. I think they just held them for the photos as they went out and did more military drills. Yeah, hold this and get on the front line, cadet. For this photograph. They are in uniform, exactly. We got super bad. I can see them playing that right now. What's happening? What's up, TV? Yeah, I can see them playing that right now. We saying there, hey. Yeah. What's up, Gia? See, you just come up in here. So yeah, so our band players don't have to wear military outfits. Ain't that funny? Around the same time they was doing it, but they was in full military gear. Now let's look. We have this. Now I showed you this earlier. This is Basil LaFleur's old log cabin. And as we talked about, Basil LaFleur is on my folks' paperwork. But that's a story for another day for me to dig into. This talks about the story of the Choctaw Freedmen and the school. There's something important in here. I can't remember. I should have highlighted it. Talked about the mixed bloods moving from Mississippi, starting the school at the end of 1865, blah, blah, blah. There's something important in there. And something important down here. Potable water supply search. Sunday conducted rivalries, former slaves. Another former slave built a small frame school. So see that? Who did I say built it? Even it's crazy they couldn't just say the nigga name, right? It's crazy you couldn't just say the nigga name, which they did, but they had to throw in another former slave. You couldn't just say George Dallas built a school frame, and could at least call him a freedman. But nah, man, that's the bullshit, because he probably wasn't even a motherfucking slave. But if you already implied that it's a school for freedmen, you don't have to keep talking about everybody playing a part as a slave, a former slave, unless you're just trying to drive home propaganda. That's what I'm getting at. Oklahoma's Historical Society can suck a fat one, okay? Suck a straight fat one, okay? But as we see, these things that I'm showing you were built by us, y'all. So just keep that shit in mind. Like, what do we do when we get here? You got to think about 1830, so-called Trail of Tears. You got to get there, and there's nothing but land. Where do you get the wood? Where do you get the concrete? Or the pipe? They may not use concrete, but where do you get the wood? Where do you get all the windows? Where do you get the frames? Where do you get the tools and the nails and the stuff? These people didn't just come over here broke as some goddamn slaves. You don't just come over as some goddamn slaves and build 2-story ass motherfucking schools. Are these people idiots? He drowning the screenshots. Too much importance everywhere. Are these people idiots? Man, these people, man. What's behind them was built by them out of nowhere, nigga. They might have just went through, chopped the trees down, cleared that land down, figured out how to build, just use the engineer. Cause to be honest, you can make bricks out the ground over there. There's a nigga that make bricks out the dirt. Straight up. They think we slow. Natives just built teepees. Exactly. Think about that. Them motherfuckers around 1902. Let's look at this. I had a video about that shit too. I think I can type it in on YouTube. Earliest videos of Native Americans. Yeah. Nigga, 1894, these niggas was living like this, nigga. 1894, nigga. I ain't never seen so many men together so close, half naked before. That is not normal. That is not normal. Hold on. That was supposed to be one that showed them actually living. Oh, here it is. Here it is. 1894. Okay. And you can find some of this old footage. Look at it. 1930. Well, this is probably some propaganda, actually. This is propaganda. You can damn sure see that was propaganda. My bad. Here's one. That's the same one. That's that same one. Like, they don't have and think about this, y'all. They don't have a lot of old footage. Their oldest footage is around what year was that? 1890? When did I say they got here, guys? some of the oldest Native American footage you can fucking find of these people is gonna be around the time that I said these bitch ass niggas got here. Okay? I'm just realizing that because I seen this shit a long time ago. And so I'm now correlating the dates. Like, wait a minute. I did type in oldest Native American footage. That's the oldest you got? And then it looks weird. And in fact, it looks very fake. And you can't even tell who it is. That could be a bunch of white tea people doing that. Y'all don't have hardly any information, any photos either. That's got to be sad. What's that? Is that a new CLA? Oh, that ain't that new. I mean, I guess it's in 2026. I'd be staying on these things. I'm like, hold on, man. I'm waiting for that new GLE to drop and that new S-Class. I ain't gonna lie to you. But okay. So, in 1902, nigga, we built homes from the goddamn ground, nigga, hand-built, nigga. 2-story, multi-room, perfect roof, perfect symmetry fucking homes, nigga. How the fuck you measure them bitches going around, get the motherfucking windows to be straight and everything, nigga? These niggas was not no slaves to them motherfuckers that you just saw. To keep that shit in mind. It would be impossible for they to be slaves just prior to what the fuck you just seen. Okay, niggas would have smashed on them niggas in no time. That's an insult to even say that shit. Said with a plumbing. Okay, I don't even know. They might have plumbing through that bitch. They probably do. They were at the recording studio. They're putting down the new track. These people are crazy, dude. These people are insane. So here's some more photographs. So let's get back to where we were at. Insane. So there's Basil LaFleur on my paperwork, but we saw that earlier. And this was talking about something. Social school teacher, Mrs. Haymaker, Pennsylvania, college students, class meals. One of these talked about like school tuition. Damn. Unless I just didn't save it. Damn. One of them, I guess I didn't save it, but let's keep going. Boys are cutting heat. Railroad, half an acre devoted. Whatever. But long story short, the enrollment fee was like a bag of corn or a bushel of corn or some shit like that, and then another portion was paid, which wasn't that much money by the people in the town, the Choctaws, but they want you to believe it was the red man people Choctaws paying. No, it's just been all Indians that live within the Choctaw Nation, which would have been all these black folks coming in, maybe pitching in, and that's if that even happened. I don't know where they got all the materials. You got multiple rooms, multiple things, and they said we built them, so we likely procured the materials too. Oak Hill Academy continued to grow through increase and support. This is 1903. The campus contained a number of impressive buildings. Okay, so this is what we were doing. Look at these buildings. And you know what happened to the building? Oh, it burned. I forgot. One of these, that's a theme between a lot of these. And I think I've been missing it in some of the little things I've been showing you. A lot of these were burned. Yeah. Yeah. But look at that. Look at that right there, man. With the portico porch in the front, dude. Come on, man. You know? This was constructed in 1910 by us, okay? So no way were we some Indians slaves, and here they are in front. And I don't know if it's in front of that or Elliott Academy, 1912. As you can see, there's our folks. They're the folks. They're the folks. Now, nobody's dressed in military outfits. People are building things. People are learning things in our schools. Everything about us is amazing. This is some photographs of our people going to school. It looks like they sitting down chilling. I don't know what's going on, but in the field, not in the field like that, but out there on the land, I should say. It looks like some youngsters, whatever, chilling. And look at these folks down here. Nobody's in military outfits. Nobody's holding guns. Nobody. Now, not to say somebody didn't have no gun ready, you know what I'm saying, just in case a motherfucker want to try something, but it ain't no military thing going on here. The kids, it said that they were collecting flowers for some kind of something, some day, some kind of holiday thing or celebration. Thing that was going on. So just amazing. This is the kind of stuff you should see when you look at school yearbooks or things about schools. This is the kind of stuff you should see. People in front of the school. Look at this. 1911. Coming home from chapel or whatever. They all dressed in white and single file line. Oh, I wish I knew what was going on. I bet it was cool. Celestine, Cynthia, Carrie, Lucretia, or whatever. Elsa, Inez, Elizabeth, all in 1910. Now this is what you should see when you're looking at a school. Oak Hill, 1903, 1902. Got some prominent people here that I saw. You got the Crittendens, the Stewarts, Scholes, Perkins, Folsom, Butlers, Arnolds. Man, she looks cool as hell, man. And Ida Johnson. Some more of our folks that you can see. A picture of my family's home that I just recognized that I know that likely is our folks. We'll validate it, try to get it validated through family, but this is crazy, okay? It looks almost like it looks like a great home for its time, but right now it looks almost like a shack, but it's almost like just one of them country homes. If you compare it to like the homes that we just seen that was built, it's like a country home, compared to one of those. But I think it's still dope. Like it shows like a rough thing, like as if they went out and cut the trees down and fucking cut them up themselves and put them on that whole like. That's what I get the feeling of, and I think that's dope. I think that's real dope. Let me get past that. Okay, so. That's that. Now, also, these schools are supposed to be known as freedmen schools, right? And even though that's the Tuscaloosa, and we know what Tuscaloosa means, Black Warrior, right? And it's like, why would some Indians call it that if they didn't, these people, and most of these people came from Alabama. But what I did was I found these letters, and one thing, the reason why I saved them is because these were correspondence about the school. And not one time do I see them call it freedmen. Like even here, they refer to the school. They said blah, 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 the Choctaw National Treasure or something for something Tuscaloosa Institute in the something in accordance with the agreement made when blah, 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 blah. But basically, you got this school being listed in here, and they're not referring to it as a freedman school. Why wouldn't they call it that? Every time you listen, they list these things today. They act like they gotta say freedman. And here's another one. It's like blah blah blah. They're paying some money out Custom Hall of Choctaw Nation, the sum of whatever money, whatever to the Tuscaloosa Institute. blah, 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 blah. It doesn't say the Tuscaloosa Freedmen Institute or Tuscaloosa Institute for Freedmen. It don't say that shit. Okay? And this is coming from the principal chief at the time. So I'm showing this to show a little bit of proof that I want to gather more proof like this, but proof from its time of these schools that they didn't refer to this shit as a fucking freedman thing. I don't think they did. And if it's not referred to as a freedman thing, that means it was just a Indian school in the Choctaw Nation. That's the ramifications of that. If it was never referred to as a freedman school at its time through normal primary documents, then the only thing you can really say is it was really just an Indian school. And neither one of these papers listed the thing about it being a freedman without trying to read it again. So, we smashed through this topic. And that's what I wanted to do, which was go through those things to prove, without a shadow of a doubt, through primary documents, through mostly government sources. I'd say about 90% of the things I showed you came from some type of government source. And if not, it came from like the Oklahoma Historical Society or the newspapers, or if I showed you a yearbook, it might have came from that school, or some other source that had that school's yearbook or some other source. But most of these have been primary sources, and what we have seen is that these people did not get here. They don't have proof of being here until the late, super late 1800s. And then when they get here, they come here as immigrants. They get put into these Indian schools well after our schools, because our schools opened before their schools. And let me just show a list of their school openings and see if I can find that while I say this last stuff. But like, they came over here, ushered them into these Indian schools, and let's see, these are ours. Ushered them into these Indian schools. Okay, these are theirs. 1879. The earliest is 1871, Riverside Indian School. That's the earliest Indian school. But 1879 is the Carlisle, the most corrupt one that I've been showing you. And that's if that. I feel like they lied about that date. The earliest yearbook photos I can find was 1902, and the information and stuff. But they say they go back further. 1884, 84, 1902, 1890, 80, 71, 93, 91, 92, 91, 90, 93, 98, 98. So their schools didn't open up until after our schools opened up. So we were those Indians they tried to put through and turn into. I don't even want to say that. No. I think that story is a lie too. Because they didn't build these schools. We just seen that we built the schools. I think that when we moved, because this is how they play fucking games, dude. When we moved from Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, all that stuff to Oklahoma, some of us accepted to go there, we started building new societies. We were building schools. We were building whatever, right? And as we built these things or whatever, and they was coming through, talking to us and wanting to see what we do, they done made this overview now of like, oh, well, these schools was just some freedmen schools. They was just some this and then the third, and y'all was just some slaves of the red man or whatever. But the red man was sitting here looking weird at that time. And the red man was going off to war and getting his citizenship in 1924, while Hampton University was celebrating Indian Citizenship Day from the Dawes Act as far back as the 1890s. Says Tulsa Black Wall Street. They take the history back. Hey, everyone. What's up, Sicky? Man, did you get the sources? I see. Yeah, I got your messages. I still got to look through them, but I'm going to definitely look through them for sure. I'm going to definitely look through them. But yeah, so... My bad, my voice is already getting, I've been on here for a little bit, but not that long. I'm already feeling tired, but I really kind of went through my main points which were, so our schools opened up before theirs. So our schools were the real schools. Their schools came about. I think that whole thing about them trying to say the whole, all these like sad stories. Oh, they trying to just they forced us to go to these schools. They this and that, all this other stuff is to make you not look into the real history of the school. Because now that I've looked into the history of the schools, we see that they were just military training grounds for immigrants who got their citizenship later. So these people had just been playing games with the story later on to try to make it seem like it was something different from what it was. But these people know what they did. And there's plenty of proof to show it, to show the paper trail. Excuse me. They give trauma stories to avoid history being investigated. Exactly, Monet. And let me tell you this. That's exactly why I said why they say the whole thing about don't go digging up Indian bones and stuff like that, because it's got this whole hidden mojo. Now, not to say that I don't think that there couldn't be some type of bad spiritual energy from messing with, like, unalive bodies, but exactly same thing with slavery. It's not that I don't think that it's a bunch of unalive bodies, that can cause any kind of spiritual ramifications, but it's excuse me. It's the fact that they trying to fearmonger us so they won't go dig into the ground to pull up some more bones and prove that we was in there. So now they would come up with this whole, it's our ancestors and you causing this and that and the third, and it's just like, and I was just like, man, nah. I was like, if y'all really want more proof that y'all were here, you would dig up some of them bones. I'm okay with it. Let's go dig it up. But now you got to get permission. Excuse me, y'all. Now you got to get permission to do this forensic DNA versus ancestry DNA. And that's what we need. And they know that's what we need. And they don't want that. They don't want that at all. You have anything that looked Negroid, they destroyed and said was contaminated. Yup, I believe that. And I've seen them destroy a lot of artifacts, keep some, hide some. A lot of videos about it, a lot of people that admit it. They got them at Lenexa cancer. Excuse me, oh man, goddamn. You said what they got to listen? Oh, they got those artifacts in Lenexa. Oh, at that building. I know what you're talking about. Smithsonian Institute too. Yeah, you talking about that building, that underground facility. Yeah, no, they got some of this stuff, and I'll show y'all like this one video when they was here in early times digging that shit up. Let me see. I think it's in here. Not that is that too. That's an old video of them digging it up, but hold up. It doesn't have any sound. I'm gonna let that play for a second. I'm gonna grab me some water real quick. All right, coming back. So as you can see, this is old. This is like really around the same time frame as those as I was showing y'all in like what we was doing like in the early 1900s. I think this is like in that same time. Now see, that's the bullshit them fake Indians was living in. We was building 2-story, multi-bedroom mansions, and these motherfuckers was doing that. Okay, but here they go. So yeah, as you can see, they digging, putting stuff in bags, There's bones everywhere. We go a little faster. Bones and pottery and everything else, stuff that they not showing, I'm sure. And look, they got them all filed. You can tell they done filed this stuff. It ain't like they ain't been filing them now. You know they done moved the file stuff somewhere, but yeah, they been keeping the stuff. All the little whatevers. Everybody. And there's a Mound Park. And I think this was in Alabama. Did they have a... Yeah, this was a... Look, this is in Alabama, y'all. And you know why that's important? Well, we'll watch this clip since we done seen that one. Of course they'll find stuff in Alabama. Because as we know, some of us who've seen this, as we know this.
Is limited to those artifacts and features that are actually preserved. Alabama is an incredibly rich archaeological area. It is actually harder to find sites without Indian artifacts than those with them. The 29,000 sites discovered thus far are a small percentage of the actual total. Very few of these sites have been excavated by archaeologists.
I appreciate
If you'll notice, many of these sites cluster along rivers and also cluster close to where archaeologists live.
Yeah, no, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all more so than y'all appreciate me, man. Y'all really don't understand. Y'all help motivate me even more so. Like, I'm already motivated from my ancestors to want to dig deep and figure this stuff out, but y'all definitely help motivate me to do this even more so. Like, I get excited to get on here to talk to y'all and tell y'all what I found, man, and whether I'm right or wrong, at least we get to see what I'm showing. Y'all get to see what I'm showing you, and you can see what I'm looking at. So it's not like I'm trying to manipulate anything. If I'm misreading something, if anything, I might just be I may be misreading a government document or figuring the story out, trying to figure a story out or something. But for the most part, I try to stay as transparent and honest and truthful, and I love fucking with y'all, man. I really fuck with y'all, and y'all fuck with me. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's an amazing thing, man, that we could come together for hours sometimes and literally just soak in hella game that nobody's trying to tell you in the mainstream. You know, you can only get that from us, different people here on TikTok. Yourselves as well. Y'all all dig deep in. I do need to watch more content. I apologize if it looks like I'm not supporting anybody's content. I just, to be honest, I need to make more content because I've been doing more live streams than content, and I feel like that's taken away from my, even though I'm growing, you know what I'm saying? I'm getting followers every time I do these live streams. Good, cool little 20, 30 followers here and there every time I do one, which is really cool. But it's my videos that kind of got me moving around, my little content. And I need to do those. But I've been loving, like, it's like every time I do these, I look up some shit. I got a live stream, now. And I do love doing this because it's real. I can really interact with y'all. And I can get feedback real time from y'all whenever I do look down. Damn, I over the research. Shit, appreciate that. Grand blessings to all. I appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah, and it's just all about trying to tell the truth, man. Find the truth and expose folks. Expose these folks. These folks have been lying, but there's ways they've been doing it, and we've been figuring out those ways. It's like they could have just. You almost want to say, how come they couldn't just bring in a bunch of people and just put them on the rolls as Indians and call it a day? How come they had to send them off to war and do the whole immigration process and everything? I don't know. It's just that people love watching lives. That's true. Yeah, and see, that's what I was going to say. I don't watch as much content because typically I'm studying and I'm listening to live streams. So and that's why a lot of times if somebody might invite me up or something, I might miss it or something because I'm not even looking at the phone. Typically, I got the phone on and somebody's panel is playing, and I'm digging in these crates on the internet. That's typically what I do when I get home. And so the only time I really switch over to the content part to actually watch the videos, which I need to do more of because people be putting out good information and good videos. But the only time I usually do it is just like vague times here and there. So I miss a lot of people's stuff. I can't watch a lot because it adds to my workload too. Too much good info too. Yeah, it does, man. It's a whole lot, and it'll have you going down other rabbit holes, and then you still trying to finish the rabbit holes you already in. But I love it, I definitely love it, man. So, man, I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Y'all my folks. I'll be looking for some more shit and coming right back to tell y'all about it, man. Looks like nobody. We didn't get no trolls that want to come up here today. Yeah, I think they'll be scared of me after a while, to be honest. Like, I really don't think they will stick. They'll be in the comment. I'm looking down I'm looking down in here to see if I can see. And I say this too, man. Like, there's some young folks in here watching. You know what I'm saying? And I do realize that, and I think that's dope. If you young, real young, you kind of just getting started. And I only know this because there's one person I just went on this. I remember just clicking on I think because of their avatar it made me look sometimes at they page because I'm always checking for like troll avatars if they're like animated kind of avatars or whatever. But this one I noticed they was somebody young and I was like, oh, that's what's up, man. Somebody young taking in the game for real. I think that's dope. I'm arming the young folks a little something. We arming the young folks a little something to start off early on them whole ass motherfuckers out there. Sorry, I ain't gonna be able to keep it clean for y'all young niggas. I'm gonna be vulgar to the bitch on it, but hey, I appreciate you coming in and taking in the game. Do not repeat the cuss words, but I'm sure you probably cussing anyway. Y'all niggas be cussing earlier ages. Don't be, 20, I'm curious. I'm not, hold on, you said 20. I'm not just getting started, but I'm just serious. That's what's up. Now, and 20 is real young. You said Wanagi was in another live talking about you. Yeah, he probably, they gonna be hurt. Look, I'm gonna be a nightmare to them niggas, man. They gonna be some goddamn bad nigga. If you gotta talk about me that much after live stream, I hurt your feelings. And I know because I've talked about people after live stream. It ain't that hurt my feelings. But they pissed me the fuck off, and I pissed them off too. Shit. He said, hell, I'm about 70, but I feel you, son. I feel young sometimes. I think that's dope too. I think, look, man, the fact that I can have and we can have, he definitely was hurt. Boy, they're going to be strategizing about me. That motherfucker Samuel, oh yeah, he's a fucking problem. I can't stand his pseudo ass. But he keep pulling up government documents. Fucking white man government documents and shit. They scared they don't know what to do. Ain't shit you can do about these government documents, nigga. And me figuring this shit out between them. But yeah, no, I think it's cool that like young folks and old folks from under 18, because I'm sure there's probably some people in here under 18, and people over 70 that all come in here and can actually be on one accord and learn some of the same stuff. I think that's amazing. And everybody can go out here feeling a little bit more informed about what's going on, what happened in the world, you know what I'm saying? And when people come at you with the bullshit about how you're not this and you're not that, you'll be armed with many, many, many talking points and receipts. You can always use any receipt that I got. You can always make videos with my receipts. I don't give a damn. If you a young starter, you know what I'm saying, and you want to do content using a lot of my talking points and receipts and start building your following from a young age, go ahead. Screenshot your ass off. Hit me up for a source link if I ain't got it, maybe. But not, for the youngs. For the older ones, y'all can too, man. I ain't gonna trip if you want to. I don't want everybody to hit me up asking me for sources though. I ain't got time to answer all them DMs, but like It's try to screenshot it and try to Google it and try to find it. If you please try to find it if you see it. In many cases, most of my videos, I show you how I get to it, though. I do show you how I get to it. So it is possible to become 70-year-old mind for your Lord. Nah, I mean, not just you. I'm just not big on letting a lot of mods, and I'm going to tell you why. It's just, one, I don't really have a lot of people that come up that I need mods. I don't do a lot of panels, but then I also don't want to have a bunch of mods, and I don't know what's going on. And I think one day one of my comments turned off, and I don't know how the hell that happened. And I don't really need it. You know what I'm saying? I think I got a few folks down there, you know, and all they gonna do really for me is kick somebody out this bitch. But I appreciate you wanting to be that, though. I think it's definitely an honor to have you asked to be a mod, to be honest. I definitely see that as an honor that you would want to do that. My dad told my grandmother, "Are you talking to old boy?" All right, yeah. Going back and forth. Do you do history on Louisiana in the 1700s? I've been somewhat there, so I'm trying to crack the appreciate that gift. I don't know what the hell that was, but it was a nice little thing that went on, like some stars. I like that stuff. That's dope. Appreciate it. Whoever sent that, I appreciate that. I think Mel B? Yeah, appreciate that, Mel B. Oh, it says the star map Polaris. That was what I say. It look like some stars or something. That's what's up. Galaxy. So I've been looking at Alabama history, because I've been trying to crack the code of when people got there after the Louisiana Purchase, and trying to figure out all the things. Now I done shifted over to this other topic with this Indian boarding schools and stuff, but I need to shift back to this because I was starting to dig deep with TB. Actually, TB was bringing up information more so about the Louisiana Purchase, the Yazoo Land Company, and how they was, you know, corrupt and doing some shit and whatever. So like, I got to go back over all the shit he said, to be honest, and bring up some of those sources that he showed me. And then, but Alabama history is pretty much part of Louisiana history, because Louisiana was a lot of this. Well, really, this part of this was West Florida, or part of this was Florida, and then part of it was Louisiana. It just depends on the time and the maps and stuff like that. But eventually, that's gonna lead me to some Louisiana deep history. So I'm not as well versed on it, but people like my dude CR is on there. You know, I think Pat be on there. A lot of them are deep on the Louisiana history because they from there. I'm from there in a sense. Like, I got people that came from there, but my people are more so. Everybody's been in Oklahoma since damn near the mid 1800s. People never talk about Black Americans and how many of us descend from Black Royal European ancestry. Yeah, I will say a lot of names do tie to going. A lot of surnames do tie to going back over in Europe under some black folks and some up under royalty. Mine personally, I haven't found, but at the same time, I also stopped. Well, no, no. So far, I haven't found none on mine. I was going to say so far. Well, thanks. Oh yeah, no problem. They migrated to Haiti. Who migrated to Haiti? Oh, you might be talking to somebody else up there. My bad. I said, well, time to take these old bones of mine to bed. Be well, yeah, man. Appreciate your International House of Pseudo. Oh, that's a funny name, International House of Pseudo. Former U.S. and Carolina Historic Museum curator. That's what's up. All right then, man. Those Europeans weren't white people. And see, you probably knew what I was about to say. I was about to say I stopped when it gets white, but to be honest, I think I only got one side that even had anybody white on my tree. The other than Thomas Love, which I had stopped with Thomas Love, but you know what? I need to follow the Love line back over there, because I was like, but really I know it's a white dude that kind of came over and assumed our surname, but the surname could have been propagated over there before they came over here, back over here. But And that's what's so funny. People be like, it's impossible for you to not be mixed. You got to have something in you. It's barely anything in me but us. I'm telling you, man. And I don't even think that the one or two things, like all these people over here black. Everybody over here black. Now, this Church Lane, this whole thing is questionable. These three are questionable. We know who Molly Battle is. I got to get with them on that. That's been my only questionable line mainly. But all these people going back here on the battle line is black. All these folks black. All these folks black. Butlers is black. Davises is black. The Hartmans were black. Yeah, all these people showed to be black. So-called, the Princes and the Hickmans and all the Understandleys, all these people black. Neils and the Williams, all these people black. There was one that said slave owner, but that was slave owner Tillman was black. These folks is black so far from what I know. These people kind of stopped, but that's 1819, so I'm not surprised. 1828, the Overstreet's black folks. All these folks is black. I did used to think that Isham was white because of that stone, but I ended up finding in this paperwork that they were black and they were listed as Indians. So that means they were black. Now, Maria, I was thinking that Mary Taliaferro might be white, but come to find, I found some black people who are Taliaferros, or they say it went from Taliaferro to Tolliver now. So that could be black too. So it's black. Thomas Love is supposed to be the only white that I can really find, and then that white goes back. But again, that's a whole questionable thing right there with the whole Chickasaw Love family thing, right? But all these people right here, the Wambles, even though you wouldn't think that was a black name, that was black folks. And the Tates are black. Ballards are black. Buckhalters, and the Willises. So, like, when I say personally, me, I don't know about no white folks up in my line like that. And people want to make it seem like everybody got to be mixed. No. Where can I find the Alabama video? The one I was just showing, Alabama Historical Society, I believe. Yeah, type in Alabama Historical Society and go to the Alabama Department of Archives and History. And in their videos, click their videos, and to get the good videos, tap oldest. Now you're going to get all the good shit. Why do I call that the good shit? Because it's the old shit on video camera that people were telling shit and you don't know what you're going to hear. And it's got all kind of historians and shit in there, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, that video is in here. And that particular video was The First Alabamians by Craig Shelton. And you can screenshot that. 12,000 BC, y'all. The Alabamians go back farther than any other person. Where can I find that Alabama video? Oh, yeah, my bad. So there you go there. And you can dig deep in those crates of the Alabama historical videos and shit, man. That's what I be doing. I've watched like 5 or 6 of them so far. They're not as boring as you would think they would be. They're a little boring. Sometimes they just telling the story, and you just kind of got to listen to the little bullshit fluff and lies and just try to catch the good shit in between. Just like anything else. You're welcome, man. Real. I ain't gonna hold y'all over here, man. I'm gonna get off of here, let y'all get to it. I ain't really had too much else. If I find something else, I'll jump back on and fuck with y'all. But until then, man, y'all have a good night. Thanks for coming out to listen.